Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and today I am finally going to be doing a review for Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I held some interest in this film pre-release. I was intrigued by the avenues with which they would take Harley Quinn following the rather flat Suicide Squad. Here in this film, she breaks up with the Joker and looks to form her own path. Unfortunately, that breakup sends a huge signal to every major gangster in Gotham that she is no longer under the protection of the Clown Prince of Crime and everyone now wants her dead. Decent premise, for sure. However, much like the title of the film, which has shifted from the long-winded, unrepeatable mouthful I've already mentioned to simply Birds of Prey or Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, and is resoundingly confused between whoever you talk to, it all falls apart due to horrific, unbalanced messaging, tired fourth wall breaking tropes that have been conducted in other films to greater effect, and a hyper-formatted style that actually does more harm than good. Birds of Prey, to be fair, is barely a Birds of Prey film at all. It is essentially a hyperbolic breakup flick with copious amounts of violence, gore and insane antics, which provides, to be fair, an entertaining start for sure. But the film never settles. There is no clear anchor point, something that would ground and provide something tangible. In quickfire motion, we are introduced to all the major players, some honestly more interesting than others, but again, as with Suicide Squad, the initial pacing is lost as we trudge back and forth through flashbacks that, yeah, sure, provide much needed plot points and angles, but do little else to entice you going forward. Everything happens, much like this review, at breakneck speeds, and yet seemingly goes nowhere. Cue the chaos. Everything is dialed up to 11, which conveniently masks the chaotic nature of the narrative. Neon title cards populate the screen when you would rather be focusing on the actual characters. Flashbacks develop their own flashbacks, which further distort any perceived notion of momentum in the vain effort to provide character development. Mix this all with stylized action, which, to be fair, is greatly choreographed in truth, but it is littered and oversaturated by a soundtrack that feels utterly false and invasive. Remember how Guardians found balance with its soundtrack. There is no balance here. It is in your face, and you will enjoy it, while Margot Robbie does a slow-motion backflip kick to the face of a goon, while an inordinate amount of water bursts from a conveniently broken sprinkler system. In comes Ewan McGregor as Roman Sionis, the Black Mask in supervillain terms from the Batman universe. His motivation seems to be that he hates women, and Harley is the spearhead of this, aside from his need to get a diamond. In fact, every man in this film hates women, and this is where the film lost me entirely. There is no grey line, no wider thought process. Every man is untrustworthy and evil for whatever reason, and it hounds the film into oblivion. It becomes less about Harley carving her own path, perhaps struggling to understand her place in the world as a villain and or a hero, and more about this. The messaging is skewed entirely. Black Mask himself holds no threat at all, besides his utter hatred of women and his penchant for peeling off people's faces. The character is utterly forgettable and is completely wasted come the end of the film. Victor Zsasz is thoroughly underused, appearing more like a snivelling coyote than a viable threat to someone like Batman in the wider context of the universe. Here, he merely skulks around and licks Harley's face, another man who hates women for no apparent reasons. My fiancée posited the notion that maybe Black Mask and Zsasz hate women because they are jealous of them and feel inadequate. the grandiose nature of their lives undone by the perceived threat of the female form. Perhaps they are scared of female reproductive organs. All this is plausible and potentially an interesting avenue of character exploration and character building. The film just fails to explore or even acknowledge that in any appreciative way beyond what it is that appears at face value. The film never delves below the mask, so to speak, of Roman Sionis, and that is a crime when you look at his interactions with those around him, mainly women. The film only succeeds when the birds of prey finally come together, which takes far too long to get there in itself. It really is disappointing that it took so long for the magic to happen, and the film is worse off because of it. Aside from Harley, the only character to actually seem interesting is that of Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress. Genuinely funny. She deserved so much more. But Margot Robbie, to be fair, saves the film without doubt. Charismatic throughout, quirky and harbouring a believable, incredible level of menace and malice. I can't help but wonder what might have been had this film gone down another path. Instead of Black Mask, why not have Batgirl as the meta villain of the piece? Aware of Harley's now apparent weakness and vulnerability, she pursues her in an effort to bring her in, causing Harley more and more psychological harm and forcing her to find allies in the birds of prey, thus culminating in the finale we see here, except Batgirl allows her to go, with a warning that she'll be always watching her and waiting for her to trip up. Would that have worked better? Who knows? Maybe I'm rambling, I think I am, but I can't look past the faults and the abhorrent messaging of the film. I wanted Harley to do so well, like Wonder Woman, who carved a truthful and impactful journey into the wider world. I wanted Harley to find a redemptive arc and a through line for success. But not like this. This is just rubbish. So there you have it. 4 out of 10, unfortunately, for this film, and DC's yo-yo journey continues. I just fear that they can't seem to find a middle ground of creative balance, and it's a shame. The potential is there, the lore is there, the wealth of characters is there. It's just the messaging is overriding the quality of the story in some of these cases. Hopefully they'll find it, but I think a mass reboot is more than likely on the cards in the next few years if current trends continue. Who knows what's going on with Superman? Henry Cavill hasn't said anything in a long while. We'll see what happens with the Batman and Robert Pattinson, but of course, as far as we know, that's not connected at all, so who knows. But that is it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.